Feels like cats and dogs have always been part of human life, as if we simply decided to tame them. But this is not a story about friendship. It's a story about control. And if you stay until the end, you'll see who actually controlled whom. The illusion of power. Here's what most people get wrong. We assume humans were always in charge. But domestication rarely started with force. It started with advantage. Animals that benefited from living near humans survived. The rest disappeared. This becomes very clear when we look at cats. But dogs followed a very different path. The cat that chose us. This is where the first surprise appears. Cats were never truly tamed. For a long time, historians believed cats joined humans in ancient Egypt, mainly because Egyptians left behind the first images of cats. But in 2004, a burial on the island of Cyprus changed everything. A human was buried with a cat more than 9,000 years ago. Genetic studies revealed that all modern cats descend from one animal, the African wild cat, Felis sylvestris libica. And around 10,000 years ago, this cat approached humans on its own. Where humans stored grain, rodents appeared. Where rodents appeared, there was food. This wasn't obedience, it was opportunity. And that difference shaped everything that came next. Here's something that seems strange. After thousands of years near humans, cats barely changed at all. The reason is simple. Humans never needed more from them. Cats hunted pests. They required no training, no hierarchy, no commands. They did their job perfectly on their own. So humans had no reason to reshape them, which is why cats kept their independence and their genetic diversity. Dogs, however, were pushed in a very different direction. The wolf myth. For decades, people believed dogs were just tamed wolves, that early humans captured wolves and turned them into helpers. But this theory had a major flaw. How did wild dogs appear in places where wolves never existed? Genetic research answered that question. Dogs are not direct descendants of wolves. Both species share a common ancestor, an ancient canine that lived in Europe tens of thousands of years ago. From that ancestor, two paths emerged. One led to wolves. The other led to dogs living alongside humans. This is the key difference. Dogs are deeply social animals. They depend on hierarchy. Every pack needs a leader. Humans naturally filled that role. They controlled food. They controlled protection. They controlled reproduction. The most obedient and useful dogs survived and reproduced. The rest were removed by natural selection. Over time, dogs didn't just live with humans, they adapted to human authority. And later, humans began reshaping their bodies as well. The most drastic changes didn't happen in ancient times. They happened in the 19th century. In Britain, dogs became symbols of status. Breeds, pedigrees, and registries were created. Breeders selected one trait at a time: a shorter snout, longer legs, a specific posture. Dogs with that trait were bred together repeatedly. This method is called inbreeding. It works, but it comes at a cost. Along with appearance, genetic diseases were locked in as well. Cats largely avoided this fate. Here's the final paradox. Cats are harder to control not just because of behavior, but because of genetics. Cats experience higher levels of genetic recombination. This creates extreme variation in their offspring. Even kittens from the same litter can look and behave very differently. On top of that, cats choose their own mates, ignoring human plans completely, which makes long-term control nearly impossible. And this leads directly to the final conclusion. What we call domestication was never equal. Dogs were shaped through hierarchy, selection, and control. They adapted to human leadership. Cats followed a different strategy. They remained useful enough to be tolerated. So today, we live with two very different animals, one shaped by obedience, the other shaped by independence. That's why dogs look to humans for guidance, and cats look at humans as staff.